Welcome to my online class. How are you everyone? I think you all are fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. I am also fine. This is Hasina Islam, lecturer, Department of English, Tongi Government College, Gazipur. This lecture is for the students of Honours second year. This is my third lecture on Ode on Melancholy. In my previous lecture, I have discussed on the opening stanza. That is, I have given a summary and analysis of the first stanza. Today, I am going to discuss on second and third stanza, and I also give you a deep analysis of this poem. Here is the second stanza. So, everyone, read out the stanza number second. That is second stanza. It is opens with Bart. The second stanza, it starts with Bart. But when the melancholy feet shall fall sudden from heaven like a weeping cloud, in this way. So look at this. The second stanza begins with Bart, suggestive that one must turn away from the desire of oblivion. He begins by treating melancholy as a disease, as a fate. Yet, even though it is a weeping cloud, and even though it covers up the entire landscape with a shroud implying death, Keats also suggests the power of melancholy to regenerate man. That is, melancholy has the power to regenerate man. He does this by suggesting the natural analogy of a cloud which, in spite of its dark and forbidding clouds, soaks the thirsty earth with revitalizing rain. That is, it has the power to revitalizing. That is, the power, the rain is like a revitalizing force. The black cloud thus generates greenery by producing the plants and flowers with nutrition. The poet suggests that man should avail of the opportunity provided by melancholy mood, that one should perceive the beauty of the rose, of the global peonies, or even of the angry mistress. That is, you can enjoy all these things in a melancholy mood. In normal or casual circumstances, he may pass them without paying any serious attention, but the melancholy state ensures a fuller experience. So this is about the second stanza. And in the third stanza, everyone look at this. He says, the poet says that melancholy dwells with beauty. That is, it is also a part of beauty, because everything on this earth are not permanent. That is, beauty, melancholy, all these things are the part of nature as well as the part of our life. So, in the third stanza and the final stanza deals with the Shakespearean realization that joy and awe are woven fine. Okay, so here the poet suggests that melancholy is a part of our life, and melancholy is a deity, though she is seen and experienced by only those who have a more refined and sensitive nature. Those who are, that is, sadness has its own might, though this can be experienced only by the mind of people. That is, one can enjoy the feeling of sadness because it is the inseparable part of our life. The final phrase, cloudy tropices hung, suggests the inextricable union of joy and sorrow, pleasure and melancholy. Okay, so all these things are the part of our life. So melancholy is inseparable from beauty because beauty doesn't last forever, and melancholy is also for a short time. It, as beauty is a part of life, sadness, joy, all things are a part of life and all are inseparable. And who is always holding his hand up to his mouth, ready to wish people goodbye. It exists within pleasure, which is already turning to poison, even as the bee sips its nectar. Indeed, melancholy is contained within all of life's good things. Okay, this poem deals with several themes. So, this is also very important for you. Melancholy, beauty, and impermanence. That is, all these things are inseparable. They are linked together. And John Keats' Ode on Melancholy is a rich and complex poem that offers a way of responding to deep despair. That is, you have to enjoy this despair, sadness. You have to allow it as a part of life. Furthermore, the poem argues the highest forms of beauty are actually made beautiful by the fact that they cannot last. That is, all beautiful, they cannot last forever. And sadness also cannot last forever. So in the poem, beauty and melancholy are thus linked by their impermanence. So beauty must die, just as joy is always bidding the joyful person adieu or goodbye. And though people can experience pleasure, it's always metaphorically in the process of turning to poison, because time will eventually bring about its end. Then another thing, intoxication versus nature. If you go through the first stanza, you find that the poet gives different examples of different poisonous objects from nature. Okay, so intoxication versus nature, that is one way to interpret on melancholy is as a warning against a certain kind of self-destructive intoxication, though it's not overtly laid out as such. The poem implicitly argues that the natural world has more to offer people. So here the poet suggests that you need not take any object from nature to make yourself intoxicate. Okay, and in the first stanza, there are examples of various objects taken from nature and sources of intoxication. Then intoxicants and poison. Here, at the very beginning, you will find so much poisonous objects offered by the poet, and the poet said that you should not take all these things to avoid sadness or melancholy. And he thinks things like alcohol and drugs symbolize an attempt to escape melancholy by dulling the mind and giving up on life. So you need not take all these things. But these substances for the speaker represent the wrong way. Those are the wrong way to escape from sadness or to escape from melancholy. Then in this poem we find some examples of insects and animals. The poet here says about some insects and animals. Those are also symbolic of death and decay. Like in lines 6 to 8, the speaker implores the reader not to partner up with beetles, death moths, or downy owls, because all these insects and animals symbolizes death. These animals symbolize death or an unhelpful preoccupation with death. Each of these creatures has close ties with death. The beetle most likely relates to ancient Egyptian mythology. A type of beetle called a scarab was a popular symbol in ancient Egypt, particularly in the form of amulets. European poets often associated ancient Egypt with death and the afterlife due to the Egyptian practice of mummification and related beliefs about the afterlife. So this mythology is taken from Egyptian myth. Then the death moth is probably based on the death's head hawk moth, a large moth which has a skull-like figure on its back. So these insects and animals are presented here as the all these things symbolize death. The nature, how nature is described in this poem. In the first stanza, we find various objects from nature. Those are poisonous. In the second stanza, the poet also symbolized the connection between beauty and melancholy. Though the first stanza does discuss nature, it especially focuses on intoxicants and death. The second stanza presents nature in a different way, looking at how it can help people who are very sad. Indeed, this stanza sees nature as a somewhat representative of melancholy itself, in the sense that nature's beauty is inseparable from a cycle of life and death. In other words, the beauty of nature is important and they are also inseparable. It doesn't last forever, which all these things will not last forever. So in this way, the poet describes different objects from nature to show the different sources of that is, he wants to prove that melancholy is also a part of nature. In nature, you will find different type of sources, poisonous and also joyful objects. So this is also a part of nature. So from this poem, I'm going to give you some important questions and you have to prepare your answer with these questions. First of all, comment on kids' attitude to melancholy. Then describe melancholy's relation with beauty and joy. And I think if you listen to my lecture, you will be able to answer these questions. So everyone, please answer these questions, prepare your notes, and soon you have to sit for the exam, take preparation and get ready. So in my next lecture, I will start another new poem. Until then, everyone, thank you. Allah Hafiz. Have a nice day.